Hello everybody, today I'm bringing you a video highlighting some of the best and worst T-Rex figures we've ever had throughout the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World toy lines. And before getting started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been subscribed or who has subscribed recently and been watching my videos and supporting my channel. It really means a lot. I just want to say thank you and I really appreciate it. So getting started, I just want to say that this isn't really a top 10 video because I realized there's far too many really good T-Rexes that we've had over the years. My main goal of this video is just to go through almost all of them, if not all of the ones that we've had, highlighting the weaknesses and also the pros of each of the figures. And yeah, so let's get started. So we're going to start with where it all began, and that's with the original Kenner line, and we're going to start with the young T-Rex figure. Now, something that's always going to impress me about the Kenner figures is the attention to detail and just how well they still look even today, considering these things were made over 20 years ago. I really enjoyed this figure. The posability and the articulation is very limited. It's just in the arm joints. You can just move its arms up and down, and then of course the jaw, you can manipulate it slightly by squeezing its neck or just manually opening its jaws. So not a whole lot of articulation or a lot of room for posability, but the fact that it can stand on its own in a good position without having to lean on its tail is a big plus for me. Unfortunately, as much as I like this figure, they are prone to getting tears in the waist area. Mine has it, even though I bought mine used. I guess it just depends on whether or not these figures were played with. When you do play with them, they're gonna get wear and tear. But as a collector, they're gonna hold up a lot better if you're just displaying it on a shelf. So I don't think that's really something to worry about. But yeah, overall, this figure, it's great. There's not a whole lot of flaws to it, except for maybe the articulation and except for, the small flaw of tearing in the midsection. It's a really durable figure, and it holds up well as long as, you take care of it. So next up, we have the big brother of the juvenile T-Rex, and that's the, classic red and black striped T-Rex, the adult version. And this thing is really impressive. It looks incredible, just like the juvenile T-Rex. Also made by Kenner. It has the real feel skin that we're all used to from those of us that grew up with the Kenner toys. Again, not a whole lot of articulation, only arm movements, and the jaw, if you squeeze the rib cage, the jaw does open. But a big con of this figure is that it does not stand well at all. You can't balance it on his feet, at least I can't with mine. The feet are very wobbly, and no matter how hard you try, the only way to get this thing to stand is by leaning on its tail, and even then I have difficulty. It always wants to lean and topple over on its side. It looks good. If you can get it to stand up, it's a cool figure to display. It's just a cool figure overall to have in your collection. And like I said with the juvenile T-Rex, this thing was made over 20 years ago and it still looks incredible. I bought mine used and it still is in fantastic shape. Yeah, I like this one. Not a whole lot of complaints except for not being able to stand up. And yeah, if you want one of these things, it costs about $100 on eBay. And yeah, that's about it. So we're gonna jump to the Lost World line now, and we're going to start with the bull T-Rex. I still remember being a kid and going in the store and seeing this thing on the shelf and just being so blown away by it and wanting it so badly. And I think part of the reason for that is just how massive it is. Back then, it was probably the biggest dinosaur figure we ever had, except for maybe the red T-Rex. I'm not sure which one measures that longer, but they seem about the same. But the bull T-Rex is just a little wider. Its head is quite bigger, so I think that's part of the reason why it looks bigger. But this thing's just really cool. It's it's rubbery. It's got the real feel texture skin. Unfortunately, like the other two T-Rexes I mentioned before, it has almost zero articulation. The legs don't move. The jaw really doesn't move at all unless you kind of pry it open with your fingers. It does have some arm joints that swivel up and down, but that's all you're gonna get. So very limited posability and very limited articulation. And another flaw of this figure is it doesn't stand very well on its own. It's sort of top heavy. It wants to lean and fall over all the time. And the legs on it are kind of like inverted, and it really doesn't stand at all unless I have it leaning against something. So that's unfortunate, but it's one of the flaws, but it's still a really cool figure. But yeah, so a few flaws with this one, but overall, really fantastic figure. Everyone should have one of these things if you collect Jurassic Park, and this one's definitely probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite. So next we have the Thrasher T-Rex, and I used to have this. I don't anymore, unfortunately, but the pro of this one is there is some increased articulation. For the first time, you could actually move the T-Rex's legs. This has a pro and a con to it. Over time, the legs on these things kind of wear out, and it's not able to support the heavy weight of the figure. So if you move its leg joints too much, they're going to wear out, and then it's just going to want to fall over all the time. And yeah, unfortunately, that's just one of the downsides to it. But you still get the manipulation in the arms and the mouth. The jaw does open and it locks in position, and then you can actually press down on the tongue and make it snap shut. And by moving its tail to the left and the right, you can actually control the T-Rex's head and give it a sort of jerking, thrashing movement like we see it do when it attacks Gennaro in the first film. And I think that's what they were trying to replicate. And once again, this one does have the rubbery real feel skin, although it also has plastic parts to it as well, which would be the legs and the arms. Overall, this is a very durable figure. It looks great. The design is really accurate to the films. Probably one of the best looking T-Rexes we have overall. Even though I say I really like the Bull T-Rex, and I probably like the Bull T-Rex a little more, I have to say that the Thrasher definitely just looks a lot more streamlined and a lot more accurate to the T-Rexes that we see in the films. So now that we finished the Lost World ones, we're going to jump to the Jurassic Park 3 T-Rexes, and I have to say this is where the quality of them kind of started to go downhill. The thing I don't like about the Jurassic Park 3 dinosaurs overall is how many of them are stuck in just really really awkward combat poses. They only made 2 different versions. They made this main one, which is the largest one, and this one isn't totally terrible. I did give mine a custom paint job because I felt like the original colors were just kind of, I don't know, cartoonish, or just I didn't really like them very much, so I got inspired to try and enhance it a little bit. This one does have better articulation than the previous T-Rexes, although it's kind of pointless because there's only one way that you can get it to stand without having to lean it forward, either on its nose or backwards on its tail. And the pose on this one is pretty neat. I'm not really trying to bash it too much. It is hard plastic all over, no real feel skin, and it does include electronics, which is always a plus, as long as it doesn't interfere with the overall aesthetics of the figure. I'm all for the sound effects and things like that, but yeah, you're always going to hear how much I say that I like the Kenner stuff the best, but honestly, this T-Rex isn't that bad. I do like it more and more, especially since I kind of enhanced the colors on it, but I just really don't like how it's sort of, stuck in the awkward pose, although this one isn't as bad as some of the other figures that Hasbro released. So I'm gonna go over the Jurassic World figures now that Hasbro made, and I was not impressed by these things at all. I feel like these figures are inferior in every way to both the Jurassic Park 3 and the Lost World and the Kenner Jurassic Park 1 figures. I feel like they didn't even try with these things. The designs on them are just terrible. The one T-Rex they made, the jaw looks like it's disconnected and just like glued back on it. It doesn't look at all, accurate to how the T-Rexes look in the films. They just look really poor quality, and they also have the screw holes in them, which, as a collector or someone who likes to display their stuff, it just looks terrible. I didn't even bother to purchase any of these or any of the Jurassic World figures because I thought they were just so poor and such a disappointment, especially considering what kind of stuff came before it 20 years prior. That's, so much better in every way. So yeah, I completely skipped over that whole line, but I figured I would still mention them because, they are technically part of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World line, but they're just terrible. I don't recommend these things at all. And if you do have them, more power to you, but they're never going to be a part of my collection. All right, so now we're going to get into the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom T-Rexes. They have 3 of these so far, I believe, or actually 4 if you're including the anatomy one that you can take apart, but we're just going to stick with the 3 main ones, the Colossal, the Thrasher, and then the, I think it's called Extreme Chomping, or something similar to that. So we're going to start with the Chomping one, which is a Target exclusive. It's part of the Legacy Collection, and for only $20, I highly recommend this one. It's got probably the most articulation out of any T-Rex figure we've ever had. It's got, leg articulation, arm articulation, neck joints, all of that. And it also has a really cool biting mechanic. And you can get it, pressed down on its neck, and you can get its jaw to open really wide, whether you want it to attack something or, whatever. But this thing's really great. Not the most sturdy figure. I'd be afraid to drop this thing. And if you did, I feel like it would definitely crack, or maybe even, part of it might come off. But, if you take care of it, it's definitely a great figure. It's all plastic, and for $20, it's just a great deal. It's a great figure. It looks, really close to the film version of the dinosaur, and yeah, you gotta get this thing for the price. It's just a fantastic figure to include in your collection. So next we're gonna go with the Thrash and Throw T-Rex, and some people disagreed when I didn't include this one on the top 10 list of the Fallen Kingdom toys, and I kind of agree with them now. I just recently got this one, and it is a really great figure, and if I could go back and edit that video, I definitely would include this one. It does, similar to the Thrasher T-Rex from the Lost World line, it has a similar feature, although this one does include electronics, and by manipulating its tail, you can get it to do several different actions, which include swiping its head back and forth, and also leaning back and roaring, and also chomping forward as if attacking a human on the ground or something similar to that. But anyways, this thing retails at $40, which is totally worth it. Although if you search on Amazon or Walmart even, you can find it for as low as $32, which is what I paid for it. And for that price, it is worth every penny. It's just a fantastic looking figure. At first, I wasn't really impressed by the colors and the paint job on it, but when you actually have it in person and you look up close, especially around the head section, there's really a lot of details that you can't see, from pictures online. And I'm really happy I decided to add this one to my collection. It's a fantastic looking figure. It looks great. Articulation is there, but it's mostly, centered around the action features, which, give it the Thrash and Throw name. Anyways, I highly recommend this one. One of the best T-Rexes we've had in years, and possibly the best one out of the Mattel line so far. Alright, so last but not least, we have the Colossal T-Rex. There are 2 versions of this thing. Battle Damage one, which is a Walmart exclusive, and then the normal one, which is just a normal figure without any of the bloody scratches on it. This is the biggest T-Rex figure that's ever been made. It's not in scale at all with any of the human figures of the other dinosaurs, but if you like T-Rex figures or you just want to collect them all, it's definitely a cool figure. I chose to keep mine in the box just because I'm afraid of not having the room to display it because it's just so big. And I have to say, maybe that's one of the flaws to this figure, is just the fact that, it is cool, but it's just so big and you need so much space to be able to display it. But yeah, this thing sells for $50 currently. It's kind of a lot of money. I definitely recommend one of the other two T-Rexes over this one, simply for the fact that, it is really big and it's a lot more expensive. And I feel like the other two T-Rexes are they just do it slightly better, and they're also on scale with the human figures and the other dinosaurs, which is another plus. And, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, you want to collect all this stuff, I'd recommend this one. But if you're sort of a casual fan that just wants, the best T-Rex out of the line and you don't want to, buy every single figure that's available, then I definitely recommend skipping this one and picking up one of the smaller T-Rexes. But again, not saying that this one's bad, it's not as great as the others and just a little too big for my taste. But anyways guys, that about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know down below which T-Rex figure is your ultimate favorite one. Again, thank you guys for subscribing recently and for watching my videos and liking my videos and commenting. It all means a lot, and it encourages me to continue doing this because I do enjoy making them. And I'm gonna start the next episode of Jurassic Park Primeval. Probably gonna start filming it within the next 2 days, so hopefully I'll have it finished by like Tuesday, and then I can start editing it and having it ready for the weekend, to post it for you guys. And so look forward to that. In the meantime, thanks again, and I'll see you later.